Hey everyone, this is Coloring Chemist. My name is Connie and welcome back to my channel. I have been experimenting. For those of you that don't know, I am a chemistry teacher, and so experimenting is kind of in my nature. And I got a new product, which, it's new to me, it's not new. I didn't know about it before though. And I discovered it through watching Helen Cryer, who's a lovely artist here on YouTube. And she had been talking about, I'm going to move, so this is a prepared page in Johanna Basford's Small Victories, and we'll get back to this in a second. But I want to show you the product first. It's these. These are Tempera paint sticks, and I have 2 packages here. They are meant for kids, straight out. You look at the package, they're meant for kids. Tempera paint is actually one of the oldest paints, and technically the tempera that's in these sticks, and probably if you're familiar with the term tempera paint, it's probably from like kindergarten, elementary school. Remember those cakes of paint you would get? And you would add water and then you would paint with them. They were fairly opaque. Those were tempera paints. They're washable, they're non-toxic. The original tempera paints, though, in sort of a fine art sense, the binder in them was often egg whites or casein, like from milk. And that's sort of, original tempera paints. I highly doubt that these have either casein or egg whites in them, and I know that those cakes in school don't. It's probably some sort of plastic kind of binder now, or maybe a cellulose nitrate. I don't really know. But these are, well, I'm gonna show you. So I bought 2 boxes of these. They're pretty cheap. This is 40 colors. They're both by Shuttle art. And this one is 20 colors. This one is pastel, and this one was kind of a mix. So there's 21 classic, 4 neon, 7 metallic, and 8 pastel. There are a couple of duplicate colors between these 2 boxes, and I'll show you some swatches here in a second. But first I'll show you the product. Oh, there's a color swatch on the side here, although I think they screwed up. But we'll get back to that too. They just come in these plastic trays. Cheap. Okay, see, cheap, not expensive. It's just a plastic tray. And they look like giant chapsticks. That's what they look like. And there's no color names or color numbers on them, although there are color names and numbers on the box. So I tried my best to match up what I was seeing here to what's on the box, but I think they made a mistake. This is not a high quality art product, but you know what? I saw Helen Cryer using them, and oh my goodness, they're so cool. So, again, looks like a giant chapstick. Pull the top off. You can dial them up or down. So very similar to a gelato. I would say they're bigger than a gelato, definitely. Do I have a gelato to hand here? So there's a gelato. About the same. The gelato's a little bit shorter and definitely not as thick. But here's the thing. Gelatos and gel crayons, like the King Art gel crayons, they are water soluble, which means you can put them down dry, but then you can also activate them with water, right? They're kind of more sheer. These are opaque. And while you can get them to activate with water, because they are water-based, they're washable. Like if I take a water brush and, oh, that's a really wet water brush. There we go. And just kind of, wet the end of this, I can get some really watery pigment. You see that? So, I mean, you certainly could use them that way, but I don't think that's the best way of using these. The best way of using these is just straight onto the paper. And it's literally like coloring with lipstick. Which I realize gelatos are also kind of, you know, they have that feel too, and the gel crayons. Here's the difference though. So I'm gonna put that down. I'm going to start a timer on my phone. Where is that? So what have we got? We've got probably 30 seconds. It's already sat there, right? So I'm just going to start. There's a timer on my phone going off to the side. They come in, so this box of 40, these are kind of they call them classic colors. So we've got some reds, some pinks. They call these flesh tones. Actually, this is called, I think this one's called nude. I don't know. If my skin were that color, I'm thinking I need to see a doctor. That's pretty orange. But, like I say, they're cheap. You've got, yeah, some orange yellows, some yellows. This is kind of an ochre color. I think they call this earth yellow or something like that. And then you've got a white. There's one missing here. That's one I grabbed for my project. I think this was called rust red or something like that. It's actually a really nice, kind of a burnt orange almost. There's brown, and then there's some greens. There's even like a dark phthalo green. There's like a dark kind of olivey green, and then it goes into some blues. There are 4 neons, and when they say neon, they mean neon. And then there are, I think, what did they say, 7 metallics? Yeah. So this is a metallic blue. All right, so my phone is saying it's been about a minute, almost 2 minutes, and maybe there was an extra 30 seconds before I started that, right? And I put this red down. It's still a bit damp, I would say, on the page. You see that, though? Like the page itself, and this is just thin photocopy paper. It's not moving. Now, that can be good. Here's I put this one down afterwards, right? They dry fast, 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 fast. And once they're dry, they're not going to move. Now, I can take my water brush and kind of scrub at it and get it to kind of sort of pick up. That's the washable aspect of them, right? Here's the metallic one. But I mean, they're dry. And I thought, that's cool. Because once it's dry, there's no stickiness. It's not going to, as far as I know, going to come off on, you know, the page, the facing page in a coloring book. Yeah, I just thought they were a cool product. Now, Helen, the lovely Helen, was using them because she's an artist. So she was using them to draw. She was doing art with them, basically. So she was drawing, you know, landscapes and things like that. But I thought, A, they're cool. B, they're not terribly expensive. And C, there has to be a way for me to use these in coloring. So, and if you look at the metallic there, I mean, that's a pretty good metallic sheen. Look at the blue there. The others dry, once they're dry, they're pretty matte. But the metallic is pretty metallic. So I'm going to try something. But I did want to say, I've tried to blend them. And the trouble is, because they dry so fast, you really can't get in there with your finger to do any blending. It just doesn't. So, sorry if you can see some printing through this. This was just some stuff I printed out and then didn't need, so I thought, why waste the paper? So I've got, this is like an olive green, and I think they call this grass green. Again, I'm guessing though, because I don't know. They have no names or numbers on them. If I put down sort of an area of that one, and then right away, that over top, go back with the lighter one. Can I mean, you've got a very, very short kind of open time. Can I use my finger in there? It puts like fingerprints in there. Yeah, very short kind of, that's what it's called with paint, right? Open time. Basically time when you can still do something with it. I'm just trying to look on camera. There's a pretty distinct line there. So I don't know how you would blend them. I think you might just have to maybe embrace the fact that it's going to be they're very opaque. That's part of the problem, right? If you're going to blend and layer, you need some transparency. So maybe just embrace the fact that they create stark lines like that. I don't know. That's the only drawback. And I did even try, so I tried doing this because I was playing around with them. And I tried going in kind of the center part with a water brush, and it just kind of made a mess. Like it sort of lifted the pigment in the middle, and it didn't blend. So I don't know how you would blend these. I'm going to have to think about that more. So there you go. I didn't really... You don't really get... If you get two colors that are really close to one another, you might be able to get a bit of an ombre kind of effect. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to do much blending. The metallics, particularly... So this big set came with 7 metallics. So there was a blue, and then purple, red, yellow, gold. They called this brown metallic, and silver. And then there was like these 4 pastels that were in that big set. This other set is pastel colors. These are much prettier colors. You don't have the the classic colors, but I mean that's a pretty pastel looking range, right? Is this dry yet? I put down an awful lot there, didn't I? Okay, so these scribbles down here are just dry. I can still feel they're a tiny bit sticky, but dry. This is a white. Look at the opacity of that. That's wild. Is this dry up here? I mean, the more you kind of lay down, it's going to take a bit longer to dry. Look at the opacity of that white. There's one stroke across a dark green. That's wild. So there is some very pretty pastel colors in here. Again, tried to match it up as best I could with the color names and numbers they had here. I think, I don't know. The first set, there's definitely a mistake somewhere, because when I was, you do the easy ones first, your white and your black, and then your metallics, the neons, those are easy. And I even noticed here they misspelled tempera. So they put tempera. So, I mean, these are definitely, where are they made? Yeah, they're made in China. So, I mean, it's not an expensive art product. I think, though, they they messed up and gave me this one in the big set, and there was supposed to be a color that was more like this, because there was supposed to be like an old moss color in the big set, but I got this instead. What are you gonna do? But some of these pastel colors are really pretty. This one I think is called, well, as far as I can tell, pea green. Look at that. That's a really pretty green. I think they call this gray green, although I don't know how gray it is. It's more of a teal color. But look how pretty that one is. This yellow is really nice. It looks bright, but it's not. It's a really, it's a, I don't even know how to describe it. So you can't really go by the color of the plastic because, again, cheap supplies, right? They're not going to worry about matching the plastic. So I did swatch these. So this is a little swatch I did for this set. So here's your colors. There's your white. Pale gray blue is really pretty. That's this one here. It's a pastel green there. They, as far as I can tell, they're calling this pale mauve. That's, as far as I know, not mauve, but oh well. Coral orange, nude, again. If that was my color of nudeness, I'd be scared. Skin is still pretty orangey. Light yellow, and then there's some really nice kind of greens here. So that's this set. And I swatched out this big 40 set here. So here's your classic colors. They're quite bright. It's very, very intense blues in there, a black. There's your 4 neons. And then there's your 7 metallics. And then there's your pastels. Again, this last pastel was supposed to be old moss green, but that's what I got. So, but I mean, look at the bright colors. I have not fixed this. I did this swatch maybe an hour ago, and I mean, I can rub. It's not coming off. This is from when I was trying to do this with my finger. So I thought, that's neat. What can we do with this? So, all right. I'm going to put this back in here. I'm going to try and do a background. And I'm going to, sorry, kind of loud. I don't know how else to store these. They're meant for kids. They're meant for little kids to color, to paint with paint, right? So twistable, no water and brush needed, pastel colors, quick drying. Paint is encased into a small round barrel. No cleaning, no leaks, no drips. Washable, easy to clean. Works great on paper, cardboard, canvas, wood, glass, ceramic, wall, mirrors, posters, and more. Uncapped, twist to use. Quick drying, washable and water soluble, non-toxic and acid free. I have no idea what the light fastness is of this. Why would you care, right? I mean, it's tempera paint for kids. All right, I'm also going to put these back just to keep my desk a little tidier here. So I pulled out my, there we go. Small Victories book. Because it seems to be the book that I like doing experiments in. Hence all the experiments. Remember my experimenting back here with the Neocolor ones and my saga of having to continue to do all these backgrounds because I kept getting mess. That's the other thing that intrigued me about these. They dry fast. And so there shouldn't be crumbs. There shouldn't be a mess. So I have taped off, sorry, I also just knocked something up there. I have taped off this page because I wanted it to kind of have a bit of a border. This is my other experiment. I've also taken, I have these drawing gum pens. Sorry, I just kind of rubbed that with my finger. I redo it. So I have these drawing gum pens. You can also buy drawing gum or masking fluid in, a little container and you can paint it on. But I kind of like these pens. They allow for more precision. They're faster. They're easier. So I used just some old washi tape that I had to tape off the border. I took my masking fluid pen and just put a narrow sort of band of it. So I covered up all of the sticky outy pointy bits of these leaves here, and then just a bit around the edge. I didn't cover the whole thing because assuming I can not get too out of control with these. They are big, like the end of this is big, so to get into little nooks and crannies to get right up to the edge, I thought might be kind of difficult. I don't know how this is going to work over masking fluid. We'll see. So, and then I took this, it just says it's a 4 tip, and the tip size is basically, I don't know if you can see that, it's like, you get those acrylic paint pens, and they have what they call the medium tip, and it's that kind of yellowish, like it's not really foam, it's like fiber, and it's a bullet. You see that? That's the kind of tip that we're looking at here. So I just took that, once I covered that, and I put dots all over the page. I don't know. My thought is that the gold is actually kind of sheer. So of the metallics, I don't know if you can see that, the gold is very shiny, but it's kind of sheer. So I thought, well, what happens then? Because I even tried, instead of mixing colors, I tried layering colors, but because most of these classics and what have you were so opaque, it just wasn't really working. Still have to think about that. If any of you have any ideas, let me know for sure. But I thought, what if I take this rust orange, so this color here, really, that's a fall color, right? And I'm going to cover the whole background, and then I'm going to cover over the rust orange with the gold. And I tried it a little bit off to the side here. I was also trying it with some green, like the pea green, and then I went over it with gold. And then this is like the rust orange with gold over it. You guys can see the shine there. I don't know. What's the worst that could happen? Says Connie. Famous last words. I'm going to pull up my sleeves a bit here, though. Drag them. I'm scared now. Oh, plus I guess I want to make sure those little dots I put down are dry now. I'm hoping when I rub it off, I'm going to have a nice crisp, clean edge around the image. And I'm also hoping I'll have little white dots all where I put those little dots of masking fluid. And I'm hoping that when I rub off the masking fluid, if I let this dry, you could do this with oil pastels too. But the trouble is, when you go to then rub the masking fluid off, the oil pastels are still going to smear. So will gelatos. So will gel crayons, right? When you go to take that masking fluid off. I did a little trial over here with some dots. Oh, can you see in there? Those are pretty crisp white dots. Now, this I didn't wait till this was quite dry enough and I started to rub. That's where that came from. But over this side, I waited till it dried a little bit more. And because it dries and it's almost kind of self-fixing, I don't know, I thought it might be kind of cool. And now I'm just talking because I'm kind of scared, but let's go for it. So I'm just... I don't know about how the tape on the edge is going to work either. I guess I should try not to sort of push like up against the tape. I should try and really is like coloring with lipstick. It looks shiny when I'm putting it down now. And it did before too. Because, I mean, like they say, there is a bit of an open time where it's still a bit wet. Also trying not to go too... I'm trying not to get it into the image, because if I do get it in there, I don't know how to get it off, right? If I go over top the masking fluid and accidentally get into the image, I don't know how to get that off. As far as I know, you can't. I think you can. I'm trying to be really careful. Well, that's right. I tried this earlier too. So if I take one of these silicone, I think they're meant for like nail, like doing your nails and stuff, but you can actually take and scrape that across and get some paint on the edge, and then you can paint it onto a page that way. So that would work if you were doing this and you needed to get into sort of a really small kind of close area. But I just thought, well, I will put some masking fluid down and see what happens. This is, I mean, it's kind of streaky. I'm thinking if I wasn't going to put the gold on top, I would probably go back over it with another coat. But it's pretty mess free. You know, like, I got a little bit in my fingers. Ooh. A little bit in my fingers because I was trying to blend there before, but I mean, other than that, you don't have to really touch it. And it's washable. I wasn't really thinking about this bird and the colors I would... See, I never plan, do I? Oh well. I guess when I go to color this image, I'll have to find some kind of colors that work well with this rust red. I just looked at it and thought, ooh, that's a pretty fall color. It's pretty fun. Okay, this is a small area, and I don't want to get it on the facing page because I don't want to have another. I don't want to have another scenario where I have to keep doing background after background after background because stuff gets away from me. I have little great nieces. I could totally see them having fun with this. I have a little great nephew too, but I don't know how much into art he is. He's 2, and he really, really, really loves anything that goes. So anything that has an engine. Alright, like I say, it's pretty streaky. I don't know if you can see that on camera. If I wanted this color, I think I would maybe... I mean, that part's dry. I mean, here's, you see? I don't want to rub the masking fluid off just yet, but there's nothing on my finger. It's dry. So I would probably do another coat and maybe see if I could get it to be less patchy and less streaky. But since I'm going to put the gold over top, I don't know that that'll matter. And maybe it might even look kind of cooler if there's kind of variations of kind of streaky dark light underneath when I put the gold down. So let's start back up the top corner here. Let's put the gold down. I think the gold would have looked cool on its own too. I just thought, because I can't figure out how to blend it, I'll try layering it. And the only ones that I could see, the only one that I could see that was translucent enough to try layering was this gold. As far as I know, you can't get these open stock. I mean, why would they, right? They're cheap. They're meant for kids. Maybe you can buy professional tempera paint and sticks. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an artist. Is that still looking streaky? I don't know. I can't see. I feel like if I use it on its edge, it's a little bit easier to control. If I use it totally flat side down, it almost feels like it gets sticky and grabs at the paper a bit. Like this, you know what I mean? Like straight up and down. If this doesn't work, I have no idea how I'll fix it or rescue it. Black acrylic paint. That's what I'll do. It's also hard to see where I put this gold with the lighting that I have. I have a hard time seeing, so I could be putting too much in certain areas, and I don't know. Because depending on how I look at it, I can either see the gold or not. I don't know what you guys are seeing on camera. Hopefully it's a cool effect. I probably shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, going back over it when it's not quite dry. Now we get into the tricky area. Sorry, I'm not maybe talking as much as normal because I'm trying to concentrate. For what purpose, I don't know. It's not like it's a what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's not a fine detail kind of thing. It's just going where it's going. Oh, I keep going back. I shouldn't do that. Helen was doing amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. There you got a little thick. Ah. Didn't see a lot of videos on these paint sticks. Not recent ones. I found a few of them from like years ago. So, I mean, it could just be that, sometimes you have a medium like this and it's like kind of trendy and fun, and then people move on to other stuff. And that's totally understandable. Alright, I can't see. Sorry if you can see my head kind of coming into the shot. I'm trying to see if I've goldified everywhere. I think some areas got a little more than others. Ah well, what you gonna do? So that was like rust orange and metallic gold. I mean, I think you can see the gold shine. And if I tilt it, I think you can still, so the light isn't shining, I think you could still see the rust orange. But then you get the gold shine. I mean, it's crinkling the paper a bit. It's tempera paint. They've probably mixed it with water and maybe some kind of glycerin or something to keep it from drying out. Probably if you left the caps off, the ends would probably dry out. So, I mean, there's a little bit of moisture there. I have no idea if this went through to the other side. I can't see where it would. I mean, I was doing this over here on, like thin, sorry, there's masking fluid bits on here, but there's nothing on the other side of this. So I can't imagine it went through to the other side of this Johanna Basford page. And that's I want to make sure it's absolutely dry before I start trying to take things off. So, yeah, that's just going to put that up there for a second. That's these tempera paint sticks. There are other companies that make them too. I saw there were a few companies on Amazon. I just got these on Amazon. I can link them down below. Some Chinese companies. There was a company that is US based called Quick Sticks. Q-U-I-K, Quick Sticks. Something like that. They were a little bit more expensive, but I think it was basically the same thing. Now, they did have thin ones, and I'd be interested in those. Just because, like I say, that's a pretty... Yeah, you can use the edge, but I don't know, to get into tiny spaces, like I say, you would have to use something like this, just take some off the edge and just kind of, smear it down in there. That's the only way I could think of to get, because you can't sort of put it and then smear it and push it in. It just doesn't work that way. So, yeah, the thinner ones might be easier to get into small areas like that. I don't know. But yeah, this was rust orange and gold. Curious to see what the metallic gold would look like by itself, like I say. You can see that's pretty shiny. You can see the metallics kind of flashing on the card, I think. Maybe a little bit. The red isn't a bad red. Lots of times you'll see metallic red or pearlescent red, and it's really more pink. That's not bad. That warm red is a really nice color. The black's pretty black. The white, I did that over top of a black alcohol marker. It's pretty opaque. Pretty opaque. Some of these greens look less opaque. Like that grass green looks less opaque. Surprisingly, the olive green looks less opaque. Even though it's dark. That yellow is a nice rich yellow. All right, did I talk long enough? Still feels a bit sticky. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to leave it. I'll tell you for how long I left it for. But then we'll come back and we will take tape off and rub the masking fluid and see what we get. Plus, I want to wash that off my finger before I don't want to get any of that on. So I'm going to pause, but I'll tell you how long I waited when we come back. All right. You see my phone? So it's 9 minutes, 9:35. That's how long I've waited. All right, should I do the tape first or should I do the masking? No, let's do the masking fluid first. Now, I like to do it with my fingers. I know other people like to do it with the drawing gum eraser. I don't know if that would make... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would make marks in the tempera paint. So, let's... Let's see what happens. I think it's working okay. There's a little area down here I'm not too sure about. Ooh. Okay, there was an area right there where and I'll show you in a close-up here in a second. I obviously went over. Oh, and there was an area there where I obviously missed with the masking fluid. That's user error. That's not so much the fault of the tempera sticks. Roll the sleeves back up here again. It's not on my fingers. I mean, can you imagine if this was, because I have tried to do this before with, say, gel crayons, and you end up smearing, because the gel crayons are water soluble, right? So then the heat of your finger, you end up smearing. I think maybe this masking fluid pen might be too old because it's not really wanting to come off. That might be part of the problem too. But yeah, I've done this with gel crayons and gelatos, and it just doesn't work. Like little bits of the masking fluid that doesn't want to come up. I know that can happen sometimes if you leave masking fluid on for too long, but like I say, this was on, what, 10 minutes? Well, no, I guess I prepped it before I started, so I prepped it maybe half an hour before I started. So it's not like it's been on here for days and days or anything. But it is old masking fluid. Those pens are kind of old. And they say that once the masking fluid gets older, it doesn't work as well. There is something satisfying about taking up the masking fluid, though. Alright. I think I've got it all. Like I say, there's some areas where it doesn't want to come up. Alright. I'm going to pause this because I can take it under my desk and I'm going to just brush all the little bits of masking fluid off into my garbage can. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. It's upside down. Alright. Should we take the tape off and see what happens? That's a pretty crisp line. You're pulling off, there'd be masking tape, or this is just some washi tape. This is what I've learned from others. You want to try and pull it kind of back on itself like that, not pull up. It just means it's less likely to tear the paper. Last bit. What do you think? That's pretty shiny. Looking at it in person, not through the I don't know what it looks like through the camera. I'll have to look when I'm editing, but it's still a bit streaky. And like I say, like I can still almost see some blue on the edges here where I do have these thingies. Yeah, that might help to neaten up the edges a bit. I think my masking fluid has seen better days. Now, I did have a bit of an oops. I'm just gonna see if I can tidy up these edges. And then we'll zoom down and I'll show you up close. So I don't know, was that easier? Not easier? Yeah, this eraser is taking up the bits that were being stubborn, so that's good. It's not exactly an eraser. I don't know what you call it. It's specifically sold for doing this, I think, for removing drawing gum. I just wasn't sure if it was going to, if I started rubbing it over where the tempera paint was, if it was going to start taking that up too, but it doesn't seem to. You say there was just those areas where I did not want to, it was leaving like little black marks. All right. So let us zoom in and take a look. So you can see right there, where my finger is, right above my finger. We go right in. Oh, as in as we can go. There's a little bit of the tempera paint there, and a little bit in this flower. But that's because I obviously missed some spots with masking fluid. And there, I think I went over, I should have maybe put the masking fluid in a little bit more. Just, I mean, those tempera paint sticks are so thick. It was hard to control them, right? To get right up to the edge there. But, I mean, other than that, it's a pretty crisp, clean edge. I mean, I notice right there, I could have gotten a little bit closer. Well, actually, I think I went, the masking fluid was, it went over the lines a little bit. So now there are little white spaces, but I'm sure I could fill that in with a Prismacolor. Same thing, if you notice up top here, there's a little teeny white line on the other side of the black line there. Again, that was just me putting the masking fluid down, just not as careful as I should have been. But, I mean, if you come out, I don't think you even notice those. I don't. And I don't know, again, I'm not sure what the camera's picking up, but can you pick up those white spots? I can see them quite well. I don't know if the camera can. I don't know what they look like. Snow in the fall, I don't know. And I don't know how much of the streakiness and patchiness the camera's picking up. I mean, like I say, I can see some of it, but it also looks kind of neat. Maybe if I did this again, I would put 2 layers of the color down and then put the gold over. Or maybe I just wouldn't worry about it. Just is what it is. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I was actually doing some playing over here during my 9.5 minutes of waiting, just to see, I mean, what kind of effect I could get. Because you can't, did notice that the pastel yellow, or the, what do they call it, light yellow, in this pastel set is kind of opaque, or translucent. So, I mean, you might be able to put that over top of other things. I was seeing, like, I mean, it's just dry. Like, it doesn't move. That's so cool. Could you do some scribbles for a background, and then, or do, like, I was just doing here, and then, I don't know, and then maybe you could make polka dots next to one another and fill the space in that way. Like I say, you can't really blend, but, you know, maybe you can use the fact that they're opaque and just work with it. I don't really know. I don't know. They're awfully fun, though. I don't know. That yellow's too light. Maybe this yellow is better. Yeah. I don't know. But like I say, it's a new to me supply, and I'm always interested in that. I'm not the kind of person who, you know, I maybe it's the curiosity killed the cat. It's curiosity in me. I just like new kinds of supplies to see, you know, what I can do with them. And yeah, I'm curious to play with these more and see what they can do. But there is our shiny kind of red gold background. That's, I mean, it's not fixed. I didn't, I swear, I promise, I did not fix it with anything, and it's not coming off. I wouldn't think it would transfer to the opposite page. I might put a little piece of tracing paper in between, but yeah, seems like a pretty neat medium to do some backgrounds. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is well. I hope everybody's enjoying their coloring. And thanks for coming with me with a spur-of-the-moment kind of experiment. All right, till next time, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.